Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can all of you hear me?
वालेकुम सलाम वरहमतुल्लाहि वबरकातुहू। जी
वालेकुम सलाम वरहमतुल्लाहि जी हज़रत।
वालेकुम सलाम वरहमतुल्लाहि वबरकातुहू। जी बिल्कुल।
वालेकुम सलाम वरहमतुल्लाहि।
Alhamdulillahi wa kafa. Wa salamun ala ibadihi allazina istafa. Amma ba'd. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wa dakhala ma'ahu sijna fatayan. Qala ahaduhuma inni arani a'siru khamra. Wa qala al-akhar inni arani ahmilu fawqa ra'si khubza ta'kulu at-tayru minhu. Nabi'na bi ta'wili inna naraka minal muhsinin. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wa salamun ala al-mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad wa barik wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad wa barik wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. When Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam went inside the jail, in the prison, and last time we did the story about how he went inside the prison that even though the people had seen the signs of innocence on Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, but since this was such a hot topic in the city that the ruler, he decided that for the time being, let's put Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam inside the prison so that people will be diverted away from thinking about this, and eventually people will forget about this episode. So Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salatu wassalam was placed inside the prison. Some scholars, they say that Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam was placed inside the prison because the ruler wanted to punish him, because the wife had said that he's not listening to me, so send him in the prison. But some Mufassirin have said another thing, a deeper point, that Aziz Misr, the ruler, he placed Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam inside the prison as a way to punish his own wife. Because for his wife, there was no greater punishment than to know that someone whom she loved is alive, but away from her sight. So it was not intended. The intention was not to make Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam go through some difficulty, because he knew that Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam is clearly innocent. Rather, the ruler wanted to punish his own wife for her intention was impious. And for her, the punishment was that even though she knew that Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam is alive, but she will not be able to see him. So for this reason, it was deemed proper to imprison Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam for some time. Now, inside the prison, there were two young men who were prison inmates of Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, and they were also imprisoned, for there was a case pending against them. So what was their story? Briefly, there were some people in that region who wanted to kill the king, kill the ruler. And for that, what they did was that there were two people who were very close to the king, to the ruler. One who used to serve drinks to the king, and the other who used to make roti, bread for the ruler. And a water server and the cook. And people wanted the ruler to go away. They approached these two individuals and said that we ask you to put poison inside the water and serve it to the drink, to serve it to the king, and put some poison inside the bread that you're making and serve it to the king. They tried to bribe these two individuals. The chef, one who used to make bread, he accepted the bribe, but the one who would serve water or drink, he retracted. He refused. So when the chef, he placed poison inside the bread and gave it to the king, the water bearer informed the king, the ruler, don't eat this food. This has been poisoned. So the ruler became disturbed, and for the time being, he imprisoned both of them. As a temporary, for the time being, he said that imprison both these individuals and then start an investigation that what actually happened. Later on, when full investigation would be done, this is at the end of the story, it would be revealed that the person who would serve water, he was true, he was a truthful man, and he would be set free. And the one who would make bread, the chef, he had poisoned the food, and he would be punished and hanged for his crime. But that's for the later. That's later. At this point, these two individuals, young men, they're there inside the prison with Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, and they start their conversation. One can imagine that now they're conversing with each other. And naturally, they would be impressed by the personality of Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salatu wassalam, by his ilm, by his hikmah, by his demeanor, by his adab, by his akhlaq, by his mannerism. And they developed a certain feeling of fondness and love and respect for Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam. They started saying that we can see a lot of noor on your face. You seem a very spiritual, very pious person. We feel attracted to you. We feel this light. And if you permit, then we think you are pious and religious. We also have a few questions that we want to ask you. So in this way, they came close. And at this time, Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, he gave a very ajib reply. It's mentioned in the books of Tafsir that when they approached Sayyidina Yusuf al-Islam in this manner, that we see Noor on your face and we want to ask you, they expressed their love for Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, their honor, their respect for him. So Imam Mujahid rahmatullah alayh has narrated this, that Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam replied to those two individuals and said that Wallahi, yani when the two young men, they looked at Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, they said to Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam that Wallahi, that we swear by Allah that when we looked at you, we feel a certain love for you, an honor for you, a respect for you in our heart. So that Yusuf alayhi salam replied and said that I ask you by Allah that don't express your love to me. For whoever has expressed their love to me, they have had to go through some test and trial in their life. That my aunt, when I was young, she expressed love to me, and as a result, I had to go through some difficulty. That was another story where Sayyidina Yusuf al-Islam was blamed for stealing something, even though he hadn't stolen anything. And then he continued that my father expressed his love for me, and because of that, I had to go through another test in my life. I was thrown inside the well. And then Zulekha expressed love for me, and now, as a result of that, I have to go through prison. So I do not wish that anyone other than Allah should express their love for me. And this is a lesson that we can learn from this story. That if someone goes overboard and tries to express their love to us, yani people who are strangers, people who are unrelated, then we should immediately reply and say that I have love for Allah and I really wish that Allah loves me. We should not be seeking out so much the love of makhluk as much as we should be seeking out the love for Allah Ta'ala, our Khaliq, our Malik. With one exception, which is a husband-wife relationship. There, a wife, she should have this desire, this expectation that my husband will express his love for me. And there, this is viewed as ibadat. That the more expression of love there is in that relationship, the better it is. Because that is a shari haq. It's a right within the sharia. So one should express their love in that relationship. But other than that, other than husband-wife relationship, if someone else expresses their love, then one should remember the story of Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, how he had to go through different tests and trials in his life. One should be cautious about this. And especially for those who go to university, young people, young men, young women, when we sometimes are in that environment of college, school, university, and some random guy, random stranger, they praise us, they say words to us. People generally become very happy that wherever we walk, people are looking at us, people are praising us. This is something to be worried about. This is something it's dangerous. The lest a person falls into some difficulty because of that, some test or trial comes in their life. So one should really be seeking the love for Allah. Seekers of love means be seekers of love for Allah. The expression of love is to express our love for Allah. And yes, love for Allah means also love in the name of Allah and for the sake of Allah. That is permissible. So how were they able to, the two men were able to recognize Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam? The Mufassirin mentioned they were able to see Noor, a certain light emanating, a radiance that was emanating from the face of Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam. And this is true, that those who live lives of taqwa, Allah blesses them with a radiance and a light and a Noor on their face. Random people, strangers would come, stop them, would greet them, shake their hands, do musafaha, for they can sense that there is something special about this person. And that special thing is the relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Noor that is on their forehead. So they saw the munawwar face of Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, and they approached Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, and then they asked about a particular dream that they had. Each one of them had a dream, and they're now asking Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam to interpret their dream for them. قال أحدهم Okay, so وَدَخَلَ مَعَهُ السِّجْنَ فَتَيَانِ. Now the story begins. The two men, they entered the prison with Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam. قَالَ أَحَدُهُمَا إِنِّي أَرَانِي أَعْصِرُ خَمْرًا. One of them said that I have seen myself in a dream pressing wine, making wine for the king. This was the cupbearer, one who would serve drinks. وَقَالَ الْآخَرُ, and the other person said, إِنِّي أَرَانِي أَحْمِلُ فَوْقَ رَأْسِي خُبْزًا. I saw myself carrying bread on my head. تَأْكُلُ الطَّيْرُ مِنْ. And birds are eating from that bread. So نَبِّئْنَا بِتَعْوِيلِهِ, that please tell us, let us know the interpretation of these dreams. إِنَّا نَرَاكَ مِنَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ, and we see that you are a man of good deeds. Inna naraka, that we see that you are a pious person. We can see from the radiance, the noor on your face, that you are among the muhsini. So tell us. In reply, Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam says, Qala la ya'tikuma ta'amun turzaqanihi illa naba'tukuma bita'vili qabla an ya'tiyakuma. That no food for you will come to you, but I can give you the description before it comes to you. In other words, before they're waiting for the food, and Sayyidina Yusuf Islam says that in this short time that I have, before the food is actually served to us in the prison, I can talk to you, and I can share with you a few things. So Sayyidina Yusuf Islam, he capitalizes on this opportunity. Now this is another important lesson for a da'i. This should be a quality of a da'i, of one inviting other people towards deen, that they should be on the lookout of a good opportunity to give da'wah. It matters when and how you give da'wat. One should not be giving da'wat all the time when they're not even in the mood and you're forcing yourself upon them. No. You should be waiting for the right moment to say the right thing. So Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam had already seen them, that they are with him in the jail. and he would have seen that they're calling upon their own idols, their own false gods. So he would have known that these people are idol worshippers. These people associate partners with Allah, they're mushrik. But until now, Hazrat Yusuf ﷺ hadn't spoken to them. He was waiting for the right opportunity to speak. Not going yourself and speaking, but waiting for them to approach him. So when the two young men came themselves and they asked Sayyidina Yusuf ﷺ for this masala, this was the right time, the best time. So in his heart, Sayyidina Yusuf ﷺ already wanted to give da'wah, to speak about Allah. The intention was already there. And now when he gets this opportunity, so he says that, look, it's going to take some time for the food to come. So in this time, short time that we have, let me tell you one or two things. Let me tell you one or two things. ذَلِكُمَا مِمَّا عَلَّمَنِي رَبِّي, that this is the knowledge my Rabb has given to me. So what happens here is that Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam gives a dawat of Tawheed. Now this is tabligh happening in jail. And he says that I believe in Allah, I have iman upon Allah Ta'ala, and I follow the way of my father. They were also prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, Sayyidina Ishaq alayhi salam, Sayyidina Yaqub alayhi salam. None of them would do shirk. They were all people of Tawheed. They worshipped one Allah. And then he would also present an intellectual proof that isn't worshipping one God better than worshipping multiple gods. This is called that istifamu ala sabil al-inkar. Asking a question, but actually rejecting one of the options. That isn't it better that you worship one Allah as opposed to worshipping so many gods? This is also a dalil that Allah gives in the Quran as well. فَلَوْ كَانَ فِيهِمَا آلِهَةٌ إِلَّا اللَّهُ لَفَسَدَتَا. That if there were more than one ilah, more than one God running this universe, then the whole universe would have crumbled. So he presents an intellectual argument. And now with his talk, he makes space in their heart. And he also makes it very clear that this ilm that I'm teaching you, ذَلِكُمَا مِمَّا عَلَّمَنِي رَبِّي. My Rabb has given this ilm to me. My Rabb has given this ilm to me. Inni taraktu millata qawmin la yu'minuna billah. That I have abandoned the way of those who don't believe in Allah. وَهُمْ بِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ كَافِرُونَ. And those who deny the akhirah. وَاتَّبَعْتُ مِلَّةَ آبَائِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَإِسْحَاقَ وَيَعْقُوبَ. And I have followed the way of my fathers, Ibrahim alayhi salam, Ishaq alayhi salam, Yaqub alayhi salam. مَا كَانَ لَنَا أَن نُشْرِكَ بِاللَّهِ مِنْ شَيْءٍ. And it's not appropriate for us that we do shirk with Allah. We associate partners with Allah. ذَلِكَ مِنْ فَضْلِ اللَّهِ عَلَيْنَا. And all this is a part of Allah's fazl, His grace, His blessings, His gift that Allah has given upon us. bestowed upon us. وَعَلَى النَّاسِ, and it's a favor upon all of humanity. Allah, so many blessings. Every blessing, everything that we have is given to us by Allah. وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يَشْكُرُونَ, but most of the people, they are not grateful. Most of the people, they are ungrateful. And then Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, he mentions the akli dalil, the intellectual argument. Ya sahibi ya sijn, that, oh my fellow prisoners, أأرباب متفرقون خير أم الله الواحد القهار, that are different gods better, or Allah, the one, the all-dominant? And isn't it better to worship one Allah as opposed to worshipping different gods? ما تعبدون من دونه إلا أسماء سميتموها, that whatever you worship other than Allah, they're nothing but names. Names that you have coined. Antum wa aba'ukum. The names, they're nothing but names that you have coined and your fathers have coined. Ma anzalallahu biha min sultan, that Allah has sent down no authority for them. Inil hukmu illa lillah, and all dominion, all sovereignty, kingdom, that belongs to no one but Allah. Amara Allah ta'budu illa iyya, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded that you shall not worship anyone but Him. Dhalika ad-deenul qayyim, this is the only right path, the established path. Walakinna akthara nasi la ya'lamun, but most of the people, they do not know. So this is Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam making use of that opportunity in the jail, that the food is about to be served, but not wasting time. Even that time that he has, few minutes, he capitalizes and he uses that for dawat. And by listening to this da'wat and such a beautiful ways inviting, giving an akli dalil, intellectual argument, his own presence, his own example, setting his own example. So by listening to this talk of Tawheed, the two young men, they also brought Iman. They also accepted Tawheed. And for this reason, we say that when you say something in the right context, you say something appropriate in the right context, it's like a gold. It's like a golden nugget. It's like a gold nugget. Yani, it can do wonders. It's very, very effective. So we see here in such a small amount of time, Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, before they were able to get their jismani nourishment, the nourishment for their bodies, Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam gave them a spiritual nourishment, a nourishment for their soul, for their hearts. And this is what Allah Ta'ala wants us to do as well. Allah says in the Quran that when you invite others towards deen, ud'u ila sabili rabbik, that call other people on the path towards the path of your Lord. Give them da'wat. But how to give da'wat? Allah mentions three things, but two things in particular. That ud'u ila sabili rabbik bil hikmati, with hikmat. Invite them with wisdom. Wal maw'izatil hasana, and in a beautiful manner, in a beautiful style, beautiful speech, excellent mannerism, excellent andaz. This is hikmat. The word Sayyidina Yusuf al-Islam is using here is hikmat. And then the andaz, that he's waiting for the right time, opportune time, and then the mannerism, the style. So as a result of that, this da'wat was very effective, and it made a way into the hearts of those two young men. They were already attentive, but now they accepted Iman. They made tawbah of their shirk. So from here we learn a lesson. Our own Mashaykh, they say that we, and especially those who are doing work of deen, generally it's applicable to all Muslims, every believer, but more so for those who are doing work of deen, they should be on the lookout for the right opportunity. And we see Sayyidina Yusuf al-Islam does not waste even 1 minute. So you don't need a lot of time to make your da'wat effective. Sometimes small fraction of a time can be enough. The time that it takes for the food to be served. Just he has that opportunity, that window in which he has to convey the message of Allah Ta'ala. So even if a person has a small amount of time, they're waiting for the food to be served, use that time to teach about deen, to teach about Allah. Use that time to draw other people's attention towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All right, after this da'wat, Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, he continues, Ya sahibi ya sijn, that, oh my fellow prisoners, amma ahadukuma fayasqi rabbahu khamra. One of you, now Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, he tells them the interpretation of their dream. That one of you, which is the cupbearer, who saw that he was serving wine to the ruler, says, you will serve wine to the master, to the ruler, and you will be set free. وَأَمَّا الْآخَرُ فَيُسْلَبُ فَتَأْكُلُ الطَّيْرُ مِنْ رَأْسِهِ. The other will be punished, will be hanged and crucified. And this person was the chef who had poisoned the food, who was really guilty, the guilty person. And then birds will eat from his head. قُضِيَ الْأَمْرُ أَمْرُ الَّذِي فِيهِ تَسْتَفْتِيَانِ. And this matter is destined for you. Destined is this matter that you're asking about. Tastaftiyan. That you're asking this interpretation about the dream. It's like a fatwa. Fatwa. So Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, he gave them the interpretation of their dream. But then additionally, he is also saying that قُضِيَ الْأَمْرُ الَّذِي فِيهِ تَسْتَفْتِيَانِ, that this matter that you're asking me about, this has already been destined for you. Now here there are one or two things to remember about dreams. Okay, when a person sees a dream and they ask someone for tabir, that what does my dream mean? So the one who interprets the dream for you, whatever he says, Allah will make the actuality according to their interpretation. Allah Ta'ala will make the tabir of that dream in the same way as this person is interpreting for you. And for this reason, one should not ask interpretation of their dreams from anyone. Sometimes we see this as, unfortunately, people make a mistake here, that whoever they find, they ask them that what does my dream mean? Imam Jafar Sadiq, rahmatullah alayh, he has mentioned that one should be careful about asking their dreams, who to ask their dreams from. One thing he mentions is that one should not ask interpretation of dreams from people who are irreligious, who are impious, not practicing deen, because when they will interpret, their interpretation may lack barakah and goodness. And if someone who doesn't pray their salah, they openly sin, they publicly commit sins, then how will there be khair in their statement? One should avoid revealing their dreams in front of such a person or asking interpretation of their dream from such a person. Similarly, one should avoid asking dreams from those who are ignorant. Might pray salah, might be religious, but they don't have knowledge of deen. They might be PhD, doctors, researchers, but if they don't have knowledge of deen, then they're not qualified to interpret your dream. And similarly, one should not ask interpretation of dreams from someone who has enmity or hatred for you. Your hasidin, your mukhalifin, people who oppose you, because if they interpret your dream in a wrong manner, then that is what is going to happen. So one should avoid narrating their dreams to such people as well. So in this regard, there is a very beautiful teaching, subhanallah, very beautiful teaching that the Prophet ﷺ gave us. Yani, so sunnat is so beautiful that wherever a person gets stuck, we have a beautiful teaching from the Prophet ﷺ which gives us the way out. So who should we ask if you want to if you had a dream and we want its interpretation? Who should we consult? Who should we go to? So the Prophet ﷺ said that man ra'a ru'ya, that whoever sees a dream, fala yakussuha, they should not reveal their dream to anyone, illa, except two people are mentioned, except ala habibin aw labibin, except to one who is their close friend, someone who loves them, and someone who is intelligent, dini taur pe intelligent. So we learned here that one should tell their dreams to two kinds of people: someone who is your habib, someone who is your habib, and someone who is labib. Someone who has affinity, love, khair khwahi, thinks about your well-being, is connected to you, has feelings for you, and someone who is religious, labib, knows deen, so that they will interpret the dream in a proper way, in a befitting manner, that is better and beneficial for you. Yes, once someone has interpreted the dream for you, then you can narrate that dream onwards to other people. Then there is no problem in that. Because the one who had to give ta'bir, who had to interpret, he has done his interpretation. Now, if you want to reveal that dream to someone in your house, so there's nothing stopping you from that, you can do so. This is a whole science, dream interpretation. And if someone is interested, there is a very famous scholar, Allama Ibn Sirin Rahmatullah alayh, whom Allah Ta'ala had blessed with this ilm of ru'ya, ta'bir ru'ya. He wrote a book also with that same name, ta'bir ru'ya. And in that book, such interpretations as such ajib interpretations that a person is stunned. Someone came to him and asked that, Hazrat, I had a dream and I saw fire in my dream. So he said that you will get wealth from somewhere. A few months passed by, someone else came and said that, Hazrat, I also saw fire. And he replied that you will be struck with a test in your life. You will get some embarrassment, you will have to face some humiliation in your life. So the students, they asked that, Hazrat, what's the, why this difference? First person came, he saw the fire. Second person came, he also saw the fire. And yet, there are two different interpretations. So he said that the first person, he had a dream in which he saw the fire, but this was during winters. And if someone sees fire during winter season, then fire is a source of well-being, gives you comfort. And the other person saw fire in the summer season, and in the summer, fire is a source of hardship, hits you. So you have to take into consideration the season in which a person sees those dreams. So imagine such technicalities. Ibn Sirin Rahmatullah is further mentioned that if a person sees a dream during the night, then depending on when they see that dream during the night, this will have an impact on when that dream will be fulfilled in their actual life as well. So, for example, he writes that if a person sees a dream after Isha, then it may take 10 years for that dream to be fulfilled. If someone sees a dream in the middle of the night, half the night has passed, then it may take 5 years for that dream to be fulfilled. If someone sees a dream at the time of Sehri, then it might take 6 months for that dream to be fulfilled. Yani, the principle we can derive is that the closer you are to Fajr, the dream, if you see a dream and during a time which is close to Fajr, then it will be fulfilled very quickly. And the further away you see it from Fajr, then it might take some time for that dream to be fulfilled. Since we're on this topic, so there's some interpretations which is also mentioned in that kitab. Ibn Sirin Rahmatullah says that if there's a person who sees Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in their dream, bi-mithal, they see Allah ta'ala. So there is no dream which is more blessed than this. And there are some awliya, some friends of Allah ta'ala, Ahlullah in this ummah, who have been blessed with the vision of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in their dreams. In one sense, this was like a mirage that they had, but in their dream. It's mentioned about Imam Azam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayh, that he was blessed with this vision of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala several times in his life, in his dream. Then he says that if someone sees Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam in their dream, and they see that Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam is very happy, they see him joyous and in a pleasant way. So the dream means that a person will be victorious over their enemy, will be able to subdue their opposition. But if someone sees Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam and he is not he's indifferent, he looks anxious or is not pleased, then the dream means that one would be subdued by his own enemy. One will be defeated. If someone sees Sayyidina Siddiq Akbar radiyallahu ta'ala an in their dream, so this is a sign of joy, of tranquility, of contentment, of happiness. If someone sees Sayyidina Umar Farooq radiyallahu ta'ala an in their dream, this is a sign that a person will be blessed with the quality of justice in their life. They will be just. Someone sees Sayyidina Usman Ghani radiyallahu ta'ala an in the dream, it's a sign that a person will be worshipping servant of Allah, very pious and ibadat guzar, worshipping. Someone is blessed to see Sayyidina Ali radiyallahu ta'ala an, so it's a sign that person will be very brave, will be the leader of his clan, his group, his tribe. Someone sees Sahaba Ikram, and generally they see the Jamaat of Sahaba Ikram radiyallahu ta'ala anhum in their dream, it means that this person will be chosen to do work of deen, will be on the path of deen himself, and will also be doing work of deen in his life. If someone sees Sayyidina Hassan radiallahu anh, Sayyidina Hussain radiallahu anh in their dream, then this is a alamat, again, that they will be blessed with joy and tranquility. But Allah will give them also a death of shahadat. All right, so now let's come back here. قُضِيَ الْأَمْرُ الَّذِي فِيهِ تَسْتَفْتِيَانِ وَقَالَ لِلَّذِي ظَنَّ أَنَّهُ نَاجٍ مِّنْهُمَا اذْكُرْنِي عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ. And then Sayyidina Yusuf al-Islam, he said to the one whom he believed likely to be released out of the two, the cupbearer, he said to him that Uzkurni inda rabbik, tell your master about me. Yani, Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam wanted that someone should go to the king and remind him that I've been in jail for such a long time. Years have passed by, years have passed. So when he was hopeful that this person would be released very soon, so he told him that when you're released, I want you to go to the ruler and tell him that I'm still in jail. And he should complete his investigation about my case and make a decision. But Allah ki shan, look what happened here. فَأَنْسَاهُ الشَّيْطَانُ ذِكْرَ رَبِّهِ. That shaitan made that person forget. He was eventually released. He went back to the king, was serving the king, very close to the king, but shaitan made him forget. Shaitan made him forget. But the real reason was that the time period wasn't complete. Allah, for everything, there is a time period with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is a specific determined time for things to happen. We cannot fasten the pace. Things are destined at their proper time, not 1 second before, not 1 second later. Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam had to remain in that prison for all of those years. The time had to be completed in the prison. That was the real reason. فَلَبِثَ فِي السِّجْنِ بِضْعَ سِنِينَ. So Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam remained inside that prison for a few years. The word bid'ah can mean anywhere between 3 till 9. So one can say that Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam was in prison for about 9 years. Anywhere between the two, the Raja call is about 9 years. So now several years have passed by. Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam is still inside the prison. And now there is another dream. This is a story where many people have many dreams. First is this dream of Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam that Ra'itu ahada kawkaba, Ra'itu ahada ashara kawkaba, that I see 11 stars doing sajda to me. Then we have a second dream, which are the dream of these two young men, the cupbearer and the cook. And now third, the dream of the king, which will eventually become the means, the sabab, the zahiri sabab for Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam to come out. وَقَالَ الْمَلِكُ. And one day the king, he said to his vizier, the courtiers, people around him, the ministers, إِنِّي أَرَى سَبْعَ بَكَرَاتٍ سِمَانٍ يَأْكُلُهُنَّ سَبْعٌ عِجَافٍ. That I've seen in a dream 7 fat cows that are being eaten by 7 thin cows. وَسَبْعَ سُنْبُلَاتٍ خُضْرٍ وَأُخَرَ يَابِسَاتٍ. And I've seen that 7 ears of grain which are green, and then 7 others which are dry. Ya ayyuhal mala'u aftuni fi ru'yaya in kuntum lirru'ya ta'burun. That, oh my people, oh people, tell me about my dream. Interpret this dream. Give me fatwa about my dream if you can interpret dreams. So when the king, he mentioned this dream to the courtiers, the ministers, so in reply they said, قالوا أضغاث أحلام. but it seems to be just wayward thoughts, just wasawis, just whisperings. Seems to be there's no reality in this dream. Many times a person, when they are tired, so they think all kinds of strange things which have no reality, no purpose, no meaning. So they said that this dream that you had is like that. It has no significance. It's just a mismatch. So there's no need for you to be worried. وَمَا نَحْنُ بِتَعْوِيلِ الْأَحْلَامِ بِعَالِمِينَ. And we do not know the interpretation of dreams. Now, at this point, when the king, he mentioned his dream and he was asking his courtiers, his viziers, is there anyone who can interpret this dream for me? Then that cupbearer finally remembered. Said, oh, there's this one person in jail who is so good with respect to interpreting dreams. And he interpreted the dream for me as well. And that interpretation was 100% correct. So why shouldn't I go to that person and ask him about the interpretation of the king's dream? So then, وَقَالَ الَّذِي نَجَا مِنْهُمَا. So then the person who was released from the prison, yani the cupbearer, he said, وَذَّكَرَ بَعْدَ أُمَّةٍ. And he recalled Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam after a long time. He said that Ana unabbi'ukum bi ta'wili, that I will tell you its interpretation. فَأَرْسِلُهُمْ. Just send me to Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam. Just take me to Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, and I will ask him. He can give you the interpretation of your dream. So then he came to the prison and he called Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, Yusuf, ayyuha siddiq. Yusuf, oh, the truthful one. So the two words, Sadiq and Siddiq, there's a slight difference between the two. Sadiq is that person who always speaks the truth with his tongue. And Siddiq is someone who speaks the truth with his tongue and also acts in a truthful way. And he combines both qualities of speech and action. True in his speech as well as action. Siddiq. So we learned that every Siddiq is Sadiq, but not every Sadiq is Siddiq. So that cupbearer, he calls Sayyidina Yusuf al-Islam Siddiq. Why? Because he had witnessed while he was in jail that Sayyidina Yusuf al-Islam, in terms of his speech, he was truthful, and in terms of his actions in the life that he was living, was also a life of piety, righteousness, ibadah. So he combined truthfulness in both speech and action. Now here there is another point to learn, that when the cupbearer came back and he is now calling Sayyidina Yusuf al-Islam, Yusufu, ayyuha Siddiq, aftina, and he then mentions what the dream is and asks for the interpretation. So Sayyidina Yusuf al-Islam doesn't display any complaints against him. That I told you to go back to the king and remind him of my case, that I'm still languishing inside the prison, and you forgot about me and you started enjoying your life and time, and now you're coming when you have a need. He doesn't say anything like that. He doesn't scold him. He doesn't rebuke him. He doesn't complain to him that you forgot about me. I gave you a message, you forgot. But conveying that message, he doesn't do anything, doesn't say anything like that. And from here we understand that if you are in such a type of a relationship, let's say a teacher-student relationship, and your student, any teacher-student relationship, someone comes and they ask a question, or they made a slip, they made a mistake, one should not hesitate in conveying their ilm to such a person. Don't let that become an obstacle between you and him, become a barrier between the two of you. That he forgot about me, now why should I give him ilm? No. You should convey ilm unconditionally. So here Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, immediately he will tell the ta'bir of the dream. It's not conditional that you did not do my task, I will not do your task. Go. I will not tell you the ta'bir. No. Rather, immediately he would reveal the dream. Ilm is something that you receive freely, for free, and it's something which is to be given for free as well. You cannot condition it that if you do my khidmat, you serve me, then I will teach you your lesson. Then I will teach you your sabak. And those who serve you well, you teach them well. And those who don't do khidmat, you don't teach them. It doesn't work like that. Ilm doesn't work like that. That those who give you gifts, you teach them. And those who don't give you gifts, you say, you excuse yourself. This ilm, one cannot be bribed for this ilm. It's not a task of bribery. That ilm is a gift by Allah, which Allah gives to us for free. And Allah wants us to gift this to other people for free as well. When Allah does a favor upon us by blessing us with ilm, we should do favor upon other people by giving them this ilm. This ilm doesn't belong to us. It belongs to Allah. We have been given this from Allah as a trust, as an amanat. And Allah wishes that when a person comes and asks for this ilm, you convey it to them. It was meant for them. You are a messenger. And look at the shan, look at the greatness of ilm, that Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam was blessed with this ilm of interpreting the dream. And because of this ilm, eventually Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the wealth and the riches of the entire nation. So imagine if a person can get the wealth, the keys to the wealth of the whole nation on account of having ilm of dreams, of how to interpret dreams, then what about that person who has the ilm of the marifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Why can't that person get the keys of akhirah, keys of the treasures of akhirah? So this is something which we should ask Allah ta'ala for, that Allah bless us with this blessing of ilm. And particularly the ilm of the muhabbat of Allah, ilm of the marifat of Allah, divine love, divine knowledge. The two greatest things that a person can ask for. Ishq-i ilahi, marifat-i ilahi. Allah's love, Allah's knowledge. One should make dua to Allah ta'ala for these two things. Allah, increase me in my love for you. Make your love the most overpowering love in my life. Make us love you more than any other thing, any other one. Make us more beloved, make your love more beloved to us then the love for our parents, the love for our children, the love for our spouse, the love for the wealth, the dunya, everything, anything. The Prophet ﷺ used to make dua for this love of Allah, this divine love, the muhabbat of Allah. And also make dua to Allah for ma'rifat. That Allah increase us in our ma'rifat. Let us know you, let us recognize you. Let us form a ta'alluq and a relationship with you. So one should have a habit of making these two du'as to Allah Ta'ala. Imam Ghazali Rahmatullah has written, the real ilm is the ilm of, is these two things, divine love and divine knowledge. Muhabbat of Allah, ma'rifat of Allah. This is what true knowledge is. True knowledge increases a person in their muhabbat, in their ma'rifat. And anything which does not increase a person in their love for Allah, the ma'rifat of Allah, is not true knowledge, it's hypocrisy. It's taking a person, if it's taking a person away from Allah, making a person heedless of Allah, it becomes a test, a trial. That ilm makes a person arrogant. So we should seek beneficial knowledge, ilm-e nafi. That ilm which helps us grow closer to Allah. Innama yakhsha Allahu min ibadihi al-ulama. Allah says in Quran as well that the sign of true knowledge is that such people, the ulama, people of ilm, their khashiyat increases. Their fear of Allah, their love of Allah, these feelings increase in their heart. So he mentions the dream now. That tell us, Ayyuha Siddiq, aftina fi sab'i bakaratin simanin, ya'kuluhunna sab'un ijafun, wa sab'i sumbulatin, khudrin wa ukhra yabisat. Tell us about this dream that the 7 fat cows are eating 7 thin cows, and 7 ears of grain which are green, and 7 others which are dry. لعلي أرجع إلى الناس لعلهم يعلمون. So that I can go back to the people and they may know the interpretation of the dream. So Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, he replies, Qala, he said, that tazra'una sab'a sinina da'aba, that you will grow crops for 7 years consecutively. 7 years you will have a very nice produce harvest. Fama hasadtum fadharuhu fi sumbulihi. So what you have harvested, leave it in its ear, except a little. Mimma ta'kulun, from which you can eat. When the wheat, it's kept in its ear, so it's protected against many insects. It doesn't go bad. So this was the akal salim, the pure akal, pristine akal that Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam had, that he gave this advice that you will have 7 years of good harvest. So leave the wheat in its ear and use only that which you need. Don't take out everything. Store it rather for later times. And then he said, Summa ya'ti min ba'di dhalik sab'un shidadun. Then 7 hard years will come upon you. And ya'kulna ma qaddamtum lahunna illa qalila mimma tuhsinun. 7 hard years will come, which shall eat up what you have stored for them, except a little which you preserve to sow. Yani 7 years of good produce and harvest, followed by 7 years of hardship, famine. And then afterwards, summa ya'ti min ba'di dhalik amun fihi yughathu nasu wa fihi ya'sirun. And then after that, there will come a year in which the people will have excessive rains and they will be able to extract juices. Yani, this is the tartib. That first there will be 7 years of good harvest, followed by 7 years of famine, and then the 15th year, there will be rain. So Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, he gave this interpretation. Through his own basirat, his wisdom, his ilm, he was able to recognize the signs that he saw in that dream, that 7 years of harvest, then 7 years of famine, and then 1 year, last year, 15th year would be a year of rain. So when the king was told about this interpretation, he was very surprised, very happy. That is such an excellent interpretation. He wanted to meet that person who interpreted the dream for him. He said, call him to me. I want to see him. I want to meet him. Waqal al-Maliku, the king said, Tuni bihi, bring that person to me. Falamma ja'ahu ar-rasulu. So when the messenger came to Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, who's still, by the way, in the prison, he's still inside the prison. So when the messenger comes to Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam in the prison and says that qala irji' ila rabbik, now go back to your Lord, yani go back to your king, ruler. He says another king is calling you. So in reply, Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam says to that messenger that irji' ila rabbik, O messenger, go back to your Lord. Fas'alhu, and ask him, ma balu niswatillati katta'na aydiyahunna. That go back and ask the ruler, what is the case of the women who cut their hands? And the messenger of the king, he came to Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, is saying that, come, I come, the king wants to meet you. He wants to set you free. But in reply, Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam saying, go back. Go back. Ask the king, what about those women who cut their hands? At this point, there's a very beautiful statement that the Prophet made a dua, that Rahimullahu Akhi Yusuf, that may Allah send mercy, rahmat upon my brother Yusuf alayhi salam, law kuntu makanahu, that if I was in his place at this time, la ajabatu da'i, I would have accepted this dawat, this invitation to come out of the prison. And you look at the sabr of Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam. He is not ready to come out. He's saying, first go back to the king and ask him, what about the women? Ma balu niswati. What about those women? From this one phrase, we learn 2 important lessons. First lesson is that the ulama, the sulaha, the scholars, the people of deen, if there is someone slandered them unjustly, then they should try to clear their name. They should try to clear their name, explain their point of view, their situation, because it's very difficult to do work of deen with a slander. When people are slandering you, when you have this tohmat upon you, this stain upon you, very difficult to do work of deen when you're being stained in the society. So people of Allah, they try to explain so that the situation becomes clear. And for this reason, for this very reason, Sayyidina Yusuf al-Islam refuses to come out of the prison. He's saying, first go back, ask the king, what about the women? I want to make sure that my name is cleared and people know that I have no blame attached to me. I'm completely innocent. Then and only then will I come out. So this is the first lesson. And the second point to learn here in the statement of Sayyidina Yusuf al-Islam is that he doesn't mention Zulaykha by name. He's not saying that go ask about Zulaykha, but he makes a general statement. Ma balu niswatillati qatta'na aydiyahunna. What is the case of the women who cut their hands? Why? The Mufassirin have written that even though Zulaykha had invited Sayyidina Yusuf al-Islam to commit this sin, but nonetheless, Zulaykha, she had raised Sayyidina Yusuf al-Islam in that palace. And during the whole several years, she had been doing favor upon Sayyidina Yusuf al-Islam, done ihsan by raising him up in that palace, keeping him well. So in one sense, she was a muhsina. She had done ihsan upon him. Even though she was inviting in this particular episode, inviting towards sin, but during the course of all of those years, she had done several ihsanat upon Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam. And for that reason, hal jaza'ul ihsan illa al ihsan, that you want to repay favor with favor. Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam wanted to repay her kindness with his own kindness, and that's why he did not mention her by name. Even though she had not accepted Iman, was still an unbeliever, but nonetheless she was a muhsina. She had done favor. She had done some ihsan. And whoever does ihsan upon you, whether believer or non-believer, we should repay their ihsan with ihsan. Repay them with kindness. This is a very important lesson again, that whoever does ihsan to us, we should repay with kindness. In any way, in any form, in any shape, but we should also do ihsan with them. Now the king, he calls all the women, and then he asks them that now tell me the reality of that incident. Qala, the king said, Ma khadbukunna idh rawattunna Yusuf an nafsi. What was the reality of your case, your situation of women, when you seduced Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam? What's the hakikat? What's the reality? Kulna, they said, Hasha lillah, ma alimna alayhi min su. Hasha lillah, God forbid. We know of no evil in him. We have not seen the slightest of evil in him. So from here now, the women, they are testifying once and for all the innocence of Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam. So the hakikat is now unfolding. The reality is unfolding. The king, the women, now all are present. And Sayyidina Yusuf, they're saying that Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, hasha lillah, that God forbid, there's no evil. We can't even think about evil attached to it. We haven't seen the slightest of evil in him. And then, qalat imra'atul aziz, the wife of the ruler, now she said, al-an hasal haq. Now, finally, the truth has come to light. The haq has come to light. The haq has come to light. Yani, when the women of the city, they had testified to the innocence and chastity of Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salatu wassalam. Now, finally, at the very last, the wife, she had no option but to admit of her guilt, admit that she was the guilty one. So there's no other option left for her. So then she says, and she admits, Ana rawattuhu an nafsi. I actually seduced him. Wa innahu lamina sadiqeen. And he is surely truthful. And now she realizes that the haqq has dawned upon everyone. So when the haqq is now apparent, clear, so she then reveals herself. She says these words herself, that I tried to seduce him, but he was truthful. So that Zulekha, jo before initially she was saying that what should be the punishment of that person who does evil things with your wife, and she was refusing to be flexible and give leeway to Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam. After all of these years, finally she admits, and she says something very, very different from her earlier statement. And why is that? Why does she change? Why does her statement change? So the Mufassirin have written something very, very deep, very profound. They say that when love is superficial, when it's raw, not deep enough, then a person puts the blame on someone else. But when love deepens, when love grows, develops, strengthens, deepens, then a person doesn't fear the consequence and is willing to put the entire blame on their own self. They're willing to put the burden on themselves, willing to bear that burden for themselves. So here, because her love for Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam had become very complete. So that's why she thought that whatever the result, the outcome, I'll just speak what the truth is. Even though this will cause my zillat, it will lead to my embarrassment, humiliation. It will be a source of bad repute for me. My husband will become upset with me, but she doesn't care about the outcome, about the consequences. And she goes ahead and she reveals the truth. That yes, I had love for Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam. I tried to seduce him. And in all of this, there's a very beautiful lesson for all of us. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so generous, so Kareem, so Rahim, that person who was initially blaming Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam and saying that he's guilty, that same person, from the tongue of that same person, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now is declaring the chastity and the innocence of Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, that he is pure. The purity of Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam. that same tongue. Allah gives this testimony of the purity of Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam. And then Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam said, so everyone now has had their share. Right? The Aziz Misr said, sorry, where is it? Right? That, oh, women, what is your case? Then the women said that, Hasha lillah. Then the wife said that, Ana rabattu an nafsi, I seduced. And finally said, and Yusuf alayhi salam said, Zalika, I did all of this, liya'lama anni, so that the governor, the ruler would know, lam akhunhu bil ghaib, that I did not do khiyanat with him in his absence. Now this is also a very important point. When the whole episode, the reality opened up, and now everyone knows that who's the guilty one and who's innocent. So Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, he reveals and he says that I did all of this only for this reason, so that the ruler would know with conviction in his heart that in his absence I did not betray him in the slightest. I was ameen. I was trustworthy. I did not violate his trust in his absence. And again, there's a point here that if there was even the slightest thought in the heart of the king that Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, maybe he might have done something wrong, maybe there is some evil thought, alayadu billah, then he wouldn't have expressed his love to Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam. But now with this whole episode that Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam had to go through the prison, and now the women are saying that we called him and he was pure. The king, his mind is completely clear. He has absolute conviction, clarity in his mind that Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam is pure, is innocent. And when the king realizes how pure Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam has been in all of this, that he did not do any khiyanat. So this was a turning point in this whole story. This ruler by this time had now grown old, and he was looking for someone who could carry on his legacy, carry on this governorship, this rulership. And he was looking for someone who was young, who could take this responsibility and do it well. So he was on the search for such a person who would be trustworthy, who would not betray, who would not do khiyanat. And for this reason, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this whole manner, all of us, this is ghaib, this is from the unseen. Allah made this whole arrangement in such a way that here Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam is coming out of the prison, and the women and everyone, they're testifying to the trustworthiness, the purity and the character, the integrity of Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam. And in this way, the king, he develops a certainty in his heart about Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, that this person will not betray in my absence. And if this person is so truthful that if I hand over the treasure of this country, the wealth of this nation, if I give this to him as an amanat, he will not betray me in this trust as well. He will not betray me in this trust as well. So in this way, Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam would come out. And now this is the turning point here. This also ends the juz. So inshallah, we will also stop here. Inshallah, we'll start the next juz next week. And we make dua to Allah Ta'ala that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable all of us to benefit from the lessons which are here in this surah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us people of amal, make us people of taqwa, make us people who are able to make themselves pleasing to Allah Ta'ala. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. جزاكم الله خيرا كثيرا.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. جزاك الله خير شيخ صاحب.